Good morning, traders. This is Shane Scott, the moderator of Newsware's Trade Talk. At Trade Talk, we're providing you with the up-to-the-minute news on the market, along with the facts, themes, and short-term trading ideas for the day ahead. Joining me, as always, is our trading anchor, Bill Olson, who brings over 30 years of institutional trading knowledge to our program. We're going to get things started with our markets update. U.S. futures are climbing higher this morning, with S&P futures up 0.33%, Dow futures up 0.01%, and NASDAQ futures up 0.84%. As of today, yesterday's Fed meeting minutes release are still having a positive effect after officials indicated it would likely be some time before they scaled back their asset purchase program. Treasuries have gained while the dollar has slipped this morning. According to the Fed minutes release yesterday, Fed officials are united on the need to see more progress on the recovery before scaling back their massive bond buying program. Policymakers have downplayed inflation risks, maintaining that the huge recent surge in Treasury yields reflects stronger growth prospects. Traders have undoubtedly peeled back on their aggressive positioning for interest rates to start rising by the end of next year. Also to note is that Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has unveiled details of a plan to bring back about $2 trillion in corporate profits into the U.S. tax net to help fund government spending initiatives and to potentially reduce reliance on borrowing that would just drive rates higher. Elsewhere in markets, crude oil has taken a dip as the pandemic worsened in key regions, just as OPEC prepares to add supply over the coming months. Over in Europe, the Stoxx 600 index tracked U.S. futures higher as stocks rose there as well. Bill, what are you seeing as far as market updates?
Well, Shane, I've been watching the S&Ps all morning long, and they're just strong. I'm watching the European markets as well. I see London's doing well. I mean, the chemical companies are doing well this morning over in London. Germany's just kind of flat. You're not seeing a whole lot of traction going on in the German DAX this morning, and the reason why is because they're all waiting for the unemployment number, which is coming out in a little bit. That comes out at 8:30 a.m. I mean, the DAX is actually down 0.03, which means flat. Oil I see, is continuing to be a little weak. I mean, Russia's already started to come out there and say, hey, we're increasing our output. Yesterday's talks between Iran and the Western nations were really uneventful. So I'm watching the S&Ps. They are moving higher. So, they are moving, but the real catalyst today is going to be the unemployment, the jobless claims that's coming out at 8:30 a.m.
Well, moving into earnings to watch today, Bill, what are we seeing as far as earnings go?
Well, let's talk about Stars Constellation Brands. That's ticker STZ, Sam, Tom, Zebra. They delivered a nice, strong beat this morning. In fact, they actually beat by 27 cents. The problem here is that they lowered guidance. And it looks like they lowered guidance because of one of their investments that they did in the marijuana industry, which is hurting them. But Stars Constellation Brands did deliver a nice earnings beat this morning. ConAgra, they beat by 1 penny. They did this on higher revenue, which was nice. Later this afternoon, we have Levi Strauss. They're expected to announce their earnings. The EPS is for 24 cents, and it's a 7% straddle. So it's like $1.75 move. Levi's like the one company that's going to come out of this pandemic very good. It's a very well-run company. These guys are firing on all cylinders. So I wouldn't be surprised if you actually see a beat here coming up from Levi Strauss. I have some indications for PetSmart, ticker PSMT. They may be releasing earnings this afternoon. Estimates there for $1.05. And WD-40, that's William David Frank Charlie. Their EPS is $1.31, and they also may be releasing earnings this afternoon. And their EPS is for $1.31. So that's what I'm seeing this morning, Shane.
Well, let's take a look at economic reports. What are we seeing there, Bill?
Well, listen, it's all about the jobless claims. Jobless claims is employment number. That one's coming out at 8:30 this morning. That's the big one that everyone's waiting for. That's the big one that everyone is watching for. Everyone's expecting that number to drop a little bit. We're seeing some good numbers came in from the non-farm payrolls last Friday. That trend is expected to continue, so it should be a positive momentum boost for the market later this morning. Got some Fed speak. You got St. Louis Fed Bank President James Bullard speaking. And then at 12 p.m., this is the other big economic event today. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is going to be speaking. It's at an event for the International Monetary Fund, and the market will be paying attention to his comments this afternoon. And then at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Minneapolis Fed Bank President Neil Kashkari will also be speaking.
Moving into our morning's critical insights, starting things off with one on Uber, ticker UBER. The company is spending $250 million to lure drivers back to work as pandemic restrictions ease. So the company has seen that drivers stopped in 2020 because they couldn't count on getting enough trips to make it worth their time. While in 2021, there are more riders requesting trips than there are drivers available to pick them up. So the bonuses being offered by the company to drivers is for a limited time. A little bonus on it is that BofA Securities has reiterated a buy rating for Uber today, giving it a price target of $71. Uber share price is currently up 0.72% in pre-market. News on Bausch Health, ticker BHC. The company has launched a novel daily over-the-counter probiotic supplement, which has shown to help reduce the severity and frequency of gastrointestinal symptoms. Bausch is up 0.03% in pre-market. In other news, Cellebrite, which is a digital intelligence company, will be merging with the SPAC TWC Tech Holdings, that's ticker TWCT, for an estimated value of $2.4 billion. TWC share price is up 1.3% in pre-market. News on Bristol Myers, ticker BMY. The company announced today positive top-line results from its phase 3 trial evaluating treatment with Opdivo plus chemotherapy or Opdivo plus Yervoy in patients with advanced esophageal-related cancer. Opdivo plus chemotherapy and Opdivo plus Yervoy both met primary and secondary endpoints of overall patient survival. Bristol share price is up 0.31% in pre-market. In other news, Merck's Keytruda, so Merck, ticker MRK, the company just met primary endpoints in its latest trial study with Keytruda, demonstrating superior disease-free survival compared with placebo in patients with renal cell carcinoma following surgery. Merck's share price is up 0.07% in pre-market. News on Apple, ticker AAPL. The company is currently facing MacBook and iPad production delays due to a lack of components. As a result, Apple has been forced to push back some component orders for these two devices from the first half of this year to the second half. The iPhone is reported not to be affected, but supply is quite tight. Apple share price is up 0.84% in pre-market. In other news, KKR, ticker KKR, is said to be in talks to invest $500 million in Box, ticker BOX, in a deal that will include for KKR one seat on the board. Box's share price is down 7.33% in pre-market. Lastly, for me, one on Twitter, ticker TWTR. The company is discussing a $4 billion takeover deal for Clubhouse, while Facebook, ticker FB, is testing out Hotline, which has a combination of the features of Clubhouse and Instagram Live to compete against Clubhouse. So interesting news for both of them. What are you seeing as far as this morning's news, Bill?
Well, shouldn't I break my news alerts down into specific segments? I'm covering events that I want to know, I want to learn about that I believe actually help create a catalyst for stocks to move higher. And I cover specific industries because, when you look at news by sectors, stocks typically run together when they are in the same sector. So this is how I use these alerts. And, when they hit on my system, I'm able to react really quickly. And, I always start off with my FANG alert, Facebook, I noticed the U.S. Federal Trade Commission and a group of U.S. states, they've asked Washington federal courts to deny Facebook's motion to dismiss the antitrust lawsuits that have been filed against it. I mean, the FTC maintains its claim that the social media giant bought Instagram and WhatsApp because they were potential threats to the company's business. Yeah, it's probably true. They did. But is that illegal? That's really the question. That Twitter, had the Twitter news about how they previously had discussions about a $4 billion acquisition of Clubhouse. That's kind of big. It shows you the valuation of Clubhouse. When that IPO comes out, it's going to be hot. Also, there's more news on Apple. You mentioned about the reported delays. with the MacBook and iPad production due to the component shortage. But there's also other stuff going on there. They're facing competition in its video game market in their Epic lawsuit. Apple said it plans to argue that it faces abundant competition for the market in video game transactions, in a way to defend itself against those antitrust allegations by the Fortnite maker Epic Games. Apple also, when a note from Piper Sandler, they say that the teen iPhone ownership is continuing to rise, which is good news for Apple. My Dow Jones 30 alert. Hey, it went off on Disney. This is not great news, but Disney said that their cruise lines, they've canceled all the cruise lines for U.S. departure through June of this year. Boeing, Belarus Airlines, they just picked up 5 of the Boeing 737-8 aircrafts. J.P. Morgan. Instacart just chose J.P. Morgan to issue a credit card for them and their clients, where their clients can get specific bonuses and benefits if they're using the Instagram card backed by J.P. Morgan. Those are hot deals, by the way, for the banks such as J.P. Morgan. I'm going over to my option headlines now. AT&T, that's ticker T as in Tom. The 30-day option implied volatility is at 20. Now the 52-week range is 18 to 48. You also got a call put ratio of 12 to 1, 12 calls to 1 put. Yeah, shares of AT&T look like they're pretty weak right now, but I would think they're about to bottom out and start to turn. And then, of course, we're dealing with some casino headlines. Penn Gaming, that's ticker PENN, Paul, Edward, Nancy, 30-day option implied volatilities at 70. Now, the 52-week range here is 67 to 181. Wynn Casinos, it's ticker WYNN, William, Yellow, Nancy. The 30-day option implied volatility is at 47 here. Now the 52-week range is 45 to 117. So again, you look at a sector where you're looking at low vols, meaning it's time to look at these sectors for possible movements in the near future. My FDA alert went off on ticker DHR, David Henry Richard. The reason why is because Citibank just issued a positive catalyst watch. And they're thinking that these guys are going to beat their Q1 forecasts when they come out with earnings. So keep an eye on DHR, David Henry Richard. AZN, AstraZeneca, Australia just picked up over 700,000 doses of the AZN COVID-19 vaccine, which originally, for London, but they pushed them over to Australia. So that's kind of interesting. Those vaccines are not going to waste. Gilead, ticker GILD, they obtained FDA approval for the breast cancer drug early this morning. A couple headlines to note. Costco, they reported positive March same-store sales data yesterday after the bell. I see some price appreciation going on in the stock right now. Paychex, PAYX, Paul, Apple, Yellow, X-ray. Yesterday in an interview, the CEO said in the third quarter, it saw its biggest net client gain in 4 years. It's interesting for, when these earnings are coming out, next. I want to keep that in the back of my mind. And let's talk about some events going on. Scott's Miracle-Gro, this is ticker SMG, Sam Michael Grace. They have an investor and an analyst day that starts today at 9 a.m. FireEye, that's ticker FEYE, Frank Edward Yellow Edward. Their April threat briefing for investors and financial analysts is going to start today at 1 p.m. CrowdStrike, that's ticker CRWD, Charlie, Richard, William, David. They have an investor briefing today starting this afternoon right at the close at 4 p.m. It should be interesting. At 10 a.m. this morning, Fuel Cell, ticker FCEL, Frank, Charlie, Edward, Larry. They're going to be holding their annual shareholders meeting at 11 a.m. Ticker FUL, Frank, Under, Larry. That's Fuller Brush Company, HB Fuller and Company. They're holding their annual shareholders meeting as well. Those are the key ones that I'm keeping an eye on today, Shane.
Interesting stuff. Well, moving into our trade talk picks for today. I'm picking Uber, ticker UBER. Just off the news, we're seeing how they've got their own little Uber stimulus going on, $250 million in bonuses to draw back the drivers. And the fact that they got more riders and drivers available, not to mention the fact that they're being upgraded so much by BofA Securities. $71 is a pretty big target, and they've got some momentum. They're already up almost 1%. Not enough to where we can't see some drives still and see some gains today. So I think it could be a good move for us. What's your pick looking like, Bill?
I'm going with CrowdStrike, ticker Charlie, Richard, William, David, CRWD. I'm really hoping for some weakness because I'm looking at the stock right now and it's already up 1.74%. So I really want to try and get this, on a little weakness. I'm hoping to see some this morning. If I can pick some up in the 195 range, I'll be very happy. And you got to remember, CrowdStrike is the absolute leader in the cybersecurity these days. And I'm expecting this stock to really start to run hot later this afternoon as we get closer to the event of this event that they're having today at the close. The key here for me, is to start building a position, in the morning, buy it when I see some periods of weakness and try and get out of it, later this afternoon during what I think will be an expected run up into this event. Maybe hold some into the event as well. But I think there's going to be plenty of opportunity for gains in CrowdStrike today. That's ticker CRWD, Charlie, Richard, William, David.
Well, moving into what's hot off the press, this is the news that's hitting the tape as we speak that will be moving the stocks today. Let's go ahead and get into it. So looking at our newswire alerts and seeing the headlines streaming in, which are the ones we should be letting traders know about, Bill?
Ticker CGC, Charlie Grace Charlie, Canopy Growth. They're acquiring Supreme Cannabis Company in a $435 million deal. Here's a headline: Robinhood hit certain stock trades from the public's feed.
Electrocore, ticker ECOR, just announced top-line results for their non-invasive vagus nerve stimulation. That one's actually interesting because it's in hospitalized COVID-19 patients, so it's got some hot topic behind it.
Here's a note on Disney. It's really a Disney and Netflix, and it's from KeyBank that's basically coming out and saying these guys have superior retention, and it just reinforces the scale advantages that these companies has, and it's true. Ticker EDKLA, Nikola, they just signed a services network agreement. It was announced. It's establishing a nationwide plan. I see ticker RIOT, Riot Blockchain. They're acquiring an organization called Whinstone this morning. Deals valued at $651 million.
This was a little volatility alert. Vericity, ticker VERY, had climbed 50% in pre-open.
Ticker CAG, ConAgra brand says they sustained increases in demand in retail segments quarter to date.
Mogo, ticker MOGO, announced a payments platform partnership with Lending Club Bank. Anything else interesting for you, Bill?
Kohl's, the company, they're sending another letter to shareholders. I got to read into that. I haven't read the entire letter. I just see that came out. Weekly jobless claims just came out. They're down 16,000. But that's all I'm seeing today, Shane.
So that's going to do it for what's hot off the press. But traders, keep in mind, you can receive the same breaking stories we do simply by subscribing at newswire.com. Check us out for a free trial today and up your trading game. Moving into our scoreboard, talking about how our picks did from Wednesday. I had Dr. Reddy, ticker RDY, which opened at $63. And after some stagnancy and really just kind of remaining flat throughout the day, it dipped a little bit lower down to $62.56 for a 0.69% loss. They were seeing some gains again this morning, so I wouldn't doubt that they rebound that soon, but just didn't meet the expectation we had in mind. How'd yours end up doing, Bill?
How do you think I did? I did good. I did AMD yesterday, and it was just like a windfall for me. I mean, the stock opened up at 81.35. Now, I always base my trades on the opening print because that's just a fair basis. So if you can get in around there, but I'm watching it, and as soon as it opened, it started to sell off. Now, I know it's moving higher today. So I look at that opportunity as like buying the stock with a coupon. I just got to buy, AMD for, 10% off or however low one, because it opened up at 81.35 and it dropped down to 80.36. And when it started to turn, I started buying because then it hit the gas and it ran up to 82.30. which is above the opening print. And then it hit another pocket of good air and it ran up to 83.09. And it's even trading higher today. This one beat both benchmarks of 1% or $1. The stock's even moving higher today. But this was a really good win and the opportunity was there. And, I gave you the event as to why. And AMD was a really good winner for me yesterday.
Nice. Well, that's going to do it for us here at Trade Talk. The traders, you know what to do. Let's get out there. Let's make some green.